Howdy, howdy. Welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well today. I'm actually on vacation with some family out here in the mountains of North Carolina. Um, we are right next to the Rocky River, spending some Christmas time together. Uh, but I want to get on here and talk to you guys about something that I feel is pretty important, and I feel like a lot of it's overlooked a lot of the time, right? I believe as Christians, we're supposed to be somebody that when people see us, they see Jesus. And this is something that a lot of people don't know, but Scripture places a lot of, negativity on. And so this ain't come for me, okay? This is Scripture. This is Jesus, and that is cursing, right? We don't realize it, but Scripture places a very big importance on cursing because you hold the power of life and death in your tongue, as Scripture says, right? And when it comes to our walk with God, and as going back to the idea that when people see us, they're supposed to see Jesus, um, that is a big thing that's going to turn people away. And as someone who used to curse a lot, I tell you, everything out of my mouth would be a curse word. Um, One of the reasons why I kept doing it was because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? So whatever you're indulging yourself in, that's going to be displayed through your mouth, as Scripture says. And James 1:26 has an awful lot to say about this, and it's very serious of what it says. It says, if any man claims he is religious, but does not bridle his own tongue, his religion is useless. Okay, so right then and there, it says, in other words, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, but you can't control your tongue, you can't control what you say, the foul words that come out of it, uh, that's useless. And I'm not saying somebody who slips up here and there or is very evident in their life that they're trying to work on it. I'm saying somebody who's constantly doing it every word out of their mouth, or just it's part of their typical vocabulary. If you stub your toe and you drop an F-bomb or something, that's, I think if you're trying to make progress on that, because it's not going to happen overnight. Cursing is one of them things where it's pretty a bad habit, and it's a hard habit to kick. And like I said, I was somebody who cursed a whole lot. I would curse going into church. I would curse leaving church, and it was because of the stuff that I was listening to. Right. So if you're someone who has a filthy mouth, the fact that Scripture says that your relationship with God is useless if you can't bridle your own tongue, that tells me all I need to know. And the reality of it is, when people see us, they should see Jesus, because if we're someone who is claiming to be a follower of Christ, but yet we're cursing, that shows that we have no self-control. And if we have no self-control over our mouths, right, over our tongues and what we say, then how many other areas of our life do you think we're going to have self-control over, right? That's why the scriptures call for it to be something you have self-control over, because it's like a domino effect, right? If it's something that is going to lead to another thing, it's going to continue on in your walk. And if you don't have control over this area, then you're not going to have control over the other areas, with your body, right? Sexual lust and stuff like that. But it's important, because the reason why, if you're someone who's struggling with this, right, and as I was, I think a lot of people have been there, examine who you're surrounding yourself with. Examine what you're listening to, because going back to what Scripture says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. What you're listening to, who you're hanging out with, that is going to influence who you are, right? There's a saying, you show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And I tell you what, the people that I used to surround myself with, I grew up very poor and in a very rough neighborhood. And everyone that I surround myself with now, or I used to, is either now in prison or they're dead, or they're on drugs, right? And this was the same road that I was heading down with. That's why it says, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Or I was headed down that same road. And I realized that I had such a hard time kicking the habit because of the people I was with, right? Or the music I was listening to. if you're constantly indulging yourself in that, I mean, you have to understand, our mind is the very avenue in which God communicates with us, right? It's how he's going to appeal to us. And if our mind is cloudy or full of dirt and all this nasty stuff, how's God going to get through to us, right? And so that's why it's important to analyze what you're surrounding yourself with, what you're listening to, who you're watching, what you're watching. All that has an effect, right? And like I said, if you're someone who has trouble kicking this, change your music up, change your friends, most definitely. That's going to be, and that's something that's hard to do, right? Something that's hard to do. But in order to grow, right, you have to go through things that sometimes you don't want to go through. So analyze that. And you just going back to the whole principle of our walk with God is going to transform our life. It requires sacrifice, right? It requires us to make the decisions that we need to do, because you have to remember, in the book of Isaiah, I believe, it says that his thoughts are not our thoughts and his ways are higher than our ways. And so there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is death, as it says. And so if we're wanting to grow, if we're wanting to be serious about our relationship with God, it requires improvement in that aspect as well. You know, we don't realize it, but our the way we speak, and people are going to watch you. Whether you believe it or not, whether you think so or not, people are going to watch you. That's just how it is, right? You know, me, myself, putting myself out there in the public eye with these videos like this, I better make sure that my character matches what I'm preaching, right? What I'm talking about. Because if not, I'm going to be looked at as a hypocrite. And I will tell you, there's been times in my past where I've been looked at as a hypocrite because I'm proclaiming Jesus, I'm doing this, I'm saying this, and then sometimes my behavior, my attitude don't match it, right? So that's why it's important. Because when people see you, you may be the only Jesus that they see, right? So when people see you, they should see Jesus, and they should ask questions about this, like, why is this guy so different? Why is he? What about him is different, and it's going to intrigue people. And so the way you carry yourself and the way you speak shows who has your heart, right? And don't get me wrong here. I know a lot of people are overcritical in the comment section, but you know, as someone who is trying to kick that habit, it doesn't happen overnight. All right, I've been there. It doesn't happen overnight. But someone who is trying to kick that habit is a lot different than the person who doesn't, and they are a lot different than the person who just every part of what they speak is just filled with filthy words, right? Let no corrupt communication come out of your mouths, right? And that's just plain and simple. That's what Scripture says. So he said it, not me. But in James 1:26, he says, if you claim to be a follower of Christ, but yet you don't bridle your own tongue, your religion is useless. That's all I need to know, right? Bridle your own tongue. And if it helps, Philippians 4:8, I believe, it's a gospel filter. It says, whatsoever things are honest, are just, are lovely, or pure, or of good report, if there be any praise, if there be any virtue, think on these things. So in other words, whatever you're listening to, whatever you're watching, if you truly want to grow in your life, make sure it's lovely, it's true, it's honest, it's just, it's of good report. And you'll see your life change, right? So hopefully that blessed you guys. Like I said, I'm on with family right now in North Carolina, so I want to get back to them. But I want to come on here today and bless you guys with this. You know, it's not going to happen overnight, but it is something that is very serious in the eyes of God, because as he says, man, if your tongue controls the power of life and death, has the power of life and death in it, then it's obviously something that we need to have a little bit of self-control over, right? But yes, God bless. Love you guys, man. I'll see y'all next video.